analyst at Arsenal. The player care manager at Tottenham, Matt Shepherd. Academy secretary for Leyton Orient Football Club, James Ogunderry. And your host for this panel from the brilliant Life in Sport podcast is Tarek.
Some might say best till last, but we'll see. At the core of football is its players, and behind the players there's a big team of people that support them. And we have three gentlemen that support the players and the club in very different ways. So go and introduce yourself, the gents.
Yeah, like you said, my name is James Ogunderry. I am the Academy Secretary and Academy Safeguarding Officer. Do you want me to give a bit about my pathway, or? Yeah, sure. In terms of how I got into football, it's a bit of a kind of stumbled into it, to be fair. I was originally doing a degree in law and business up in Keele University. Was enjoying that, thought it was alright. And then one day randomly I stumbled upon UCFB and I was like, wait, I can do law and business and apply sport and apply to the sports industry. I was like, yeah, I'll take that. So then transferred over to UCFB up in Manchester, up in the Leyton Stadium, where I was doing sports law with sports business. Then again, didn't know anything about operations or anything besides anything on the pitch with coaches, managers. That's all I knew about football. I didn't know anything about behind the scenes. Then we had a talk with a guy who was first team operations manager at Bristol City, and I said, "Oh my God, there's operations in football. Yeah, I think that sounds like a bit of me." From that moment on, I was just trying to kind of get in the industry, just like you guys, reaching out to people on LinkedIn and stuff like that. Lucky enough, UCFB had a careers day where Port Vale operations manager for the academy was there. Managed to build up a good rapport with him, dropped him an email, he took a chance on me, and then managed to get an internship there. Was doing that for about 9 months, and then uni was finished. I just realised that no more student finance, so it was time to get a full-time job. Tried to get a full-time job, couldn't find one, so then I actually went to work outside in the industry as a youth worker for about a year, and then I got another break where I got offered assistant club secretary at Colchester United, and was there up until May this year, and then made the transition from there to Leyton Orient, to what I'm now doing. So yeah, that's a bit about me and how I came into football.
Hi everyone, my name is Matt Shepherd. I am the player care manager in the Women's Academy at Tottenham Hotspur. There's no defined career path into player care at the moment, I would say, but my journey probably has as close as it can get to what that career path might look like. I did a sports psychology degree at Bournemouth Uni. I did 6 months of that degree and realised I did not want to be a sports psychologist. It was way too intense in people's head. I did not want to do that. I did a sandwich degree, so I did a placement year. My third year I went to the University of Queensland for a year and worked out there. It's a top 50 uni in the world. It's an amazing place, amazing facilities. And I was an athlete career education assistant. I just supported Olympians on managing, trying to be a student and an Olympian. And that's where my love for athlete support, performance lifestyle, athlete lifestyle, whatever tag you want to put on it, that's where I discovered it. So came back and started completing qualifications, got some experiences working at the university where I was, just working with individual athletes. And I was really lucky that off the back of a conversation with the sports scholarship manager, they offered me a job, and I worked in the university sector for about 5 years, managing sports scholarship programs, supporting athletes, trying to become a full-time employee in something, whilst also trying to become an Olympic athlete. Wanted a different challenge, and that's where my journey to football came. Firstly was player care manager at Bristol City. Was there for a couple of seasons, and then January this year, they gave me a job. I don't know, Tottenham Hotspur decided to give me a job. So then jumped over to Spurs, and that's where I am now. But that is my journey up until this point.
Cheers, Matt. Yeah, guys, I'm Josh Brown. To those of you who don't know me, I'm a PDP analyst at Arsenal, which means that I cover the men's under 18 and under 21 age groups at this point in time. My football journey kind of goes back until I stopped playing at the age of 12. I'm type 1 diabetic, for those of you who don't know, and that kind of put ends to a very mediocre playing career. But then I picked up some bits around football journalism. I went to university at 18 to Exeter to study politics, philosophy and economics, which I fully know makes me sound like a bit of a tosser. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. Probably based on what dugout you're in. While I was at Exeter, I got involved with the media team down there, so I did 2 years with the media team, all voluntary. Through them, they put me in touch with their lead analyst, who then put me on in touch with a university lecturer called Matt Robbins, who I've been singing the praises of tonight. Matt was a massive figure in terms of getting me into analysis. He really helped me get my first placement, which was part of my master's degree in performance analysis at Millwall. At the end of that, I then was headhunted by AFC Bournemouth to lead their under 18 provision. And then after a year of doing that, I was fortunate enough to get the Arsenal job, where I've been for the last 4 seasons or so. Had some great memories. I've worked with some pretty high-profile players over the years, probably none more so than the 2 that are in the first team at the minute and the 3rd who's on the way. It's been a hell of a journey and I've really, really enjoyed it. Yeah, that's me.
Names, man.
Miles Lewis-Skelly, England goal scorer on debut. Leyton Orient, England 21's goal scorer the other night, first team player. And Max Dowman, who I won't be speaking too much more about tonight on account of the fact he's 15. But yeah, I've had the pleasure of working quite closely with all 3, and they've probably taught me more about myself than anything else.
So, just a quick one for the crowd. Prior to this talk or prior to this event, were you aware that these roles existed? If you weren't aware, put your hands up. Okay, if you were aware that they existed, put your hands up. Yeah, interaction. All right. So, thank you guys. So we're going to move on to the next question, which is, I think it'll be a hard question to answer. What does a typical day at your role look like? I'm pretty sure there isn't a typical day because they're all different, but do you want to start? We'll start with you, Josh, and then we'll go back.
Yeah, I was asked this question earlier and it made me realise I've spent my day-to-day doing work on 8 different football teams. There really is no one day at this point. I spend the majority of my time watching games and breaking it down for individual players. I'll be meeting with players when I'm not delivering said meetings to the team and to staff. I'm really quite integrated into the coaching staff that we have at Arsenal at the minute. So reviewing training, reviewing games, helping put together plans for the fixtures at the weekend or on Tuesday nights. And if I'm not at Colney, then we're travelling somewhere, which sounds really glamorous, but the reality is it was a wet Tuesday night in Stoke, full of all the cliches. But yeah, that's kind of me, just football all the time, and it's pretty relentless.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, to echo Josh, no day is the same. If we sat and tried to define what one day looks like, the next day won't be the same, the day after won't be the same. Especially in player care, it's such a person-focused role. Every day there's 70 girls in the academy, all of them have emotions, all of them have challenges, all of them have things going on in their lives that are not the same to the person next to them. I was chatting to somebody earlier, and I think the way I tried to define a day in my job, there's 5 key areas that my role covers. Life skill development program, so implementing workshop and education to support the development of our young people, making sure that we don't just develop footballers, but we develop better people. Well-being, overseeing well-being and how we proactively support their well-being, monitor their well-being, put care plans in place where we need to if things are going challenging. Retain release and aftercare. It is my joyous job to be part of every retain release meeting, and by that I mean every release meeting, which is not a fun part of the job, but it's something that we have to do. And a big part of that is then aftercare, and what does our support for young people look like if they want to continue their journey in football or a journey into a different career. So it's my job to oversee that process. Host families, I look after all the players in host families, so everything from identifying those players, identifying host families, recruitment of host families, placing them, and then also monitoring their journey in there as well. And then lastly is player-parent engagement, so how do we make sure we take everybody on the journey with us? So getting feedback from players, getting feedback from parent and carers, and making sure that as just the custodians of that person's journey at that point, we make sure we try to do it the best we can. But that is also a tiny snippet of my job, those 5 things. So it could be anything. But hopefully that gives you a good understanding.
Yeah, like the guys have said, no day in football is the same. I suppose the easiest way to try and explain it is I'll try to put it into a week rather than a day. I usually spend my Monday and my Tuesday morning at least reviewing the weekend just gone and make sure everything went on okay as it should. If it didn't, what can we try and improve or what needs to be put in place for the following weekend. And then I usually spend the rest of my week looking at the weekend coming or the next few weeks coming and trying to make sure everything goes to plan. Usually something will come up in the middle of the day that completely throws that plan out of the in the bin. But my job mainly is trying to make sure that the teams run as smoothly as possible so that they can go from wherever they're going from here to play Arsenal or to play Tottenham or whatever it is. And they just have to worry about playing, and my job is to make sure that they can get there and just step onto the pitch and everything's okay. Not always as simple as that, but that's mainly what I do from week to week, to be honest.
Thank you. So Josh, this one's for you. So not everyone has the luxury of having a career at 12 years old. For people looking to get into football, what are the best first steps for someone who doesn't have that experience? Obviously your job is more like affecting on the pitch as well. Someone that doesn't have that playing experience or those kind of contacts to lean back on, what do you think is a good thing someone could do to get themselves through the door?
Yeah, it's a great question. I actually think it's one that Richie answered really well earlier. Be a good bloke, first and foremost. I think someone that I spoke to was a psychologist at England Cricket. He said basically the 3 fundamentals of having a successful career in sport: be a good bloke, do good work, and show up consistently. I think that's going to put you up pretty well in most areas of life. With football, you've got to show your passions. Everyone in this room is passionate about football. What are you going to bring to the party on an individual level, like what the guys were talking about earlier? Find a niche, get really passionate about it and get really good at it is probably the best advice I can give you on that front. There are opportunities, but you've got to work hard and just don't give up. I said in the conversation earlier, I think I've been either rejected or ignored from about 1,000 jobs in 5 years, which is probably not going to make me any friends in this room. But you can't stop just because you've not heard back. You've just got to keep going. There's a whole bunch of reasons why you might not get one job, but if you give up, then you're not going to have a chance at all.
Any of you want to have anything to add to that?
I just think a word that we use at Spurs a lot is the word relentless. You've got to be relentless. It's like Josh said, you'll get no's upon no's, and in most cases actually won't even get a no, you'll just get a head. And those are the situations and the moments that teach you to keep pushing on, and where that fight comes from to find a role, to find experience, to find another contact, somebody else. I first met Tarek through him contacting me on LinkedIn. He just reached out and his passion came through, and that's something I've tried to part in conversations tonight, is bring your personality, bring your passion. I think previous panel touched on that a lot around how if you're going into an environment, be you, but bring that personality, because you've got to stand out from other people. Everybody else applying to that same job you're applying to has got the same, if not more, experience. So how do you differ yourself? And usually that's with your personality. So bring your personality.
The only thing other than what the guys have said is, I would say don't take rejection personally. Especially when you get a lot of no's, sometimes you can think, oh, is it me? Sometimes it might be, but I would say just don't take it personally. Don't let it affect you, because especially trying to get into the sports industry, you will get probably a lot more no's than yeses. So don't let it affect your belief in terms of what you want to do, and just keep trying to push the door down.
Okay. So the question I've been looking forward to asking the most is, you all work with the players, for the club, for the development. You all want the best for them in different ways. How do your departments cross over, or how do you work with different departments to best support the players in your respective roles at your respective clubs?
It's a hard one. To be fair, I think personally what I try and do is I try and understand each department as well as I can, especially in my role as academy secretary. To be honest, my job is just to make sure everything tries to go as smoothly as possible, like I said, and they can just concentrate on football. And in order for that to happen, I need to kind of understand each department and understand what their needs are, and also understand the individuals within those departments. Try and have conversations with different people, try and understand the way they work, the best time of day to catch them, in terms of if you need something, or in terms of some coaches are really good on emails, some coaches aren't. Drop them a text, they'll reply straight away. Drop them an email, might be waiting a long time. So just understanding different departments, what their requirements are, what's the time that you're not going to catch them at. I would say is the way I try and approach it, and try and get the best out of that. I'm also just trying to make them understand that yes, they're doing their job and they're trying to concentrate on their thing, but reminding them that there's a wider system going on around them. And if they can try best to link into that, it makes everybody's job a lot more easier.
Yeah, I think to kind of expand on that slightly, or come from a different angle, is we've all got the same shared collective goal, but sometimes we don't see that from somebody else's angle. So what an analysis angle might be for a shared collective goal is similar to mine, but it's slightly different. At the end of the day, we all work in academies, so at the end of the day, we just want to develop the best young people we can to get players into the first team. That's our job as an academy. So what's really helpful is understanding somebody else's goal and how does your goal relate to their goal. So actually, by me sitting down with Josh and going, well, you're putting together those clips on Huddle to help somebody understand to be the best version of themselves on the pitch. My job is to help somebody be best version of themselves off the pitch. And if we impact off the pitch, we impact on pitch, right? Therefore, we have a shared collective goal. So that helps us, I guess, cross over, link together. Same with operations and secretary role, booking travel, booking workshops, meeting rooms, education spaces. We cross over all the time. So actually, by having that clear communication with, in the end, understanding someone's goal, it instantly makes working as a team so much more cohesive.
Yeah, I think the guys are making really good points. The thing that I'll try and add to it is something that I think stands true whenever you're working with young people, which is to put them at the heart of the process, right? So instead of looking at the academy as you have your academy manager, you've got your heads of department, you've got members of staff, look at it from the perspective of you have a player in the middle. Now, what does that player need? They need psychological support, they need to feel psychological safety, they need analysis to review, they need the appropriate physical conditioning. They've got all of these requirements that they need as part of their program that fall into functions. And actually, one of the things that helps us work best as a multidisciplinary team is understanding that, like, I'm more than my job role. I am a person who this player comes into contact with, and actually, based on the relationship I have with that player, I might be able to lean into areas that are just as relevant to my own department, but not necessarily my specialty, right? So if I've got a really good one-to-one relationship with a player, their psychological safety might be a check-in with me first thing in the morning, instead of feeling like they've got to book in a session with a psychologist. But ultimately, it does come down to what the guys have already spoken about: shared goals, shared vision, shared alignment, and clear goals set out to you, ideally from above, about what you're trying to achieve every day.
Thank you. So we're going to switch it up a little bit. We do things differently in the different pathways in football panel. So we're going to take some questions now based on what you've heard. We'll take some questions from the audience, sorry, based on what you've heard and what you're learning from these three gentlemen. So any takers? Right at the back.
Right at the back. Thank you. No worries. To keep me fit. I think it's 10 years too late, I think. Here you go. Okay.
Sorry, thank you for walking. Hi, my name's Grace. I also study at UCSB. I do football communications and digital marketing. My question is about women's sport in particular. There's a lot of talk about research going into ACL injuries, obviously that you've seen in the press at the moment. Do you think that the lack of funding within women's sport is the reason why player care is more difficult in the women's game, or do you think there are external challenges within clubs that are causing those issues?
I feel like this is for me. Fantastic question, thank you for it. Player care, so I've done player care across both boys and girls game, and I was actually chatting about this in the back room before we sat down. I much prefer player care in the women's game because it's developing. The machine of football in the men's side of the game is a machine that's been moving for 30, 40 years. It refines, it changes and it adapts, but it is a machine that is working. The machine in the women's game is still trying to work out what the machine is, how it works, what it does, what way it works, what's good, what's not. We take a lot from the boys' game, however, not all of that is applicable, and especially when it comes to women's health, women's safety. We face so many different challenges that boys don't face. So, example, girls in academies at the moment, even if they're in full time, then they're legally yet not allowed to be paid. So we are requiring girls to do the exact same as what their boys' counterparts do, but they get no pay for it. And now we have girls who travel 2-3 hours to come and be part of our academy, which is a huge commitment. Now, when we're thinking around specifically physical health, we're really lucky at Spurs. We have Nike come in every season and do workshops and also testing on girls for boots. They provide boots, which means hopefully the boots that they get are not just generic boots that usually and historically have been designed for men. They're actually designed for them specifically. We're really lucky that we have that partnership. But it goes beyond just kit, facility access. So many academies we go to, I travel all the way games with our 19 squad, we go everywhere. We see some facilities that are absolutely outstanding. We see some that are an Astro that after under an inch of Astro it's concrete, which is actually the problem for an ACL. We can change the boots, but actually if we're still playing on facilities that are hugely detrimental to anybody's physical health, those boots become a little bit redundant. So yes, finances, and yes, the funding in the women's game is the challenge, but it's coming. Women's football is such an exciting project to be in, and I encourage anybody to get involved with it because it is the most exciting journey that I think I've professionally been on, and those are the challenges that we face every day. But I hope that answers your question.
Okay. Okay. Tarek.
There you go. Alright, well, we've run out of time, but thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time and sharing your wisdom and your experiences. I'm sure there was a lot to gain from everyone listening in the game and out of the game. If you like what Matt had to say, he was on my podcast, Life in Sport, so check it out.
There's a plug.
I have permission to do this, by the way. I'm not just like throwing it, but yeah, thank you so much, gentlemen. It's been so insightful hearing your talks, and I'm sure a lot of people had a lot to gain from it.
Well, once again, and for Matt, Josh, James, and Tarek.